We check the ISS. Where was it? We check for the iridium satellites. We check about a dozen sites that give us insight into where every satellite is in the world at the time of the sighting. We check the weather. We check other reports, start looking for newspaper articles or anything else that might give us another witness. In the case of the Squamish orb, there was multiple witnesses, so it was great. I'm Dave Palachik, so I am basically the Canadian Chief Investigator for MUFON Canada. I do all the training of our field investigators and teach them how we conduct investigations. I've had sightings throughout my life that I could never explain. I'm a scientist, at heart. I took nuclear engineering, electronics, physics. I love physics so much I just kept on taking it. I got into computers as a computer engineer for IBM and started learning some interesting things. Went down to their secret rubber rooms, as we call them. Saw things that were coming, let's say, to market in 10 years or so. The thing is that some of the things that they were working on, I always wondered, wait a minute, we don't have the brains to do that. Where did they get this idea? The Einsteins of the world come together and produce something, or did they find something? So I've always had this kind of nagging, thought in the back of my mind, what's going on. So I did join MUFON as a field investigator, got asked to become chief investigator and do all this training. I also look after the provincial directorship of most of the provinces other than Quebec, Ontario, and New Brunswick. And I even look after the territories, trying to promote MUFON. So one of the things I got into was photography. I'm a professional photographer, and of course, a lot of people know I do security systems, so I got into video analytics. So that's my qualifications. I love it. I've always had a desire to learn more, and I must admit, being inside MUFON, I got to kind of step into things that the general public don't know. And still working on trying to get our Canadian government to start disclosure like the U.S. has last December. When Tom DeLong and the New York Times released Go Fast. It's called the one video, Go Fast, because that's what the pilot's talking about. So I'm in it for the long run, and I want to continue and learn more and discover more. And I'll help with disclosures best I can. I want to talk about Squamish. I want to talk about the orb that I said was definitely an orb and not a satellite and not a natural phenomenon. So when an investigator gets a case, and I sign most of them in the country, and I triage them first, I liked yours so much I took it myself. There's a lot of work to do. The very first thing is we want to prove that the witness is credible. Okay, we're not going to investigate or interrogate the witness. We're not doing that. We're a friendly group. Open communications, get a report going through email or telephone, do a lot of telephone interviews. And in the case of yours, you guys did do telephone interviews, and I was checking you out, because I did meet you at ACE the year before. So in investigating, we have to look at a number of things. We use Stellarium like crazy to look at stars and prove what was out at the exact time that you gave us for the sighting. We check the ISS. Where was it? We check for the iridium satellites. We check about a dozen sites that give us insight into where every satellite is in the world at the time of the sighting. We check the weather. We check other reports, start looking for newspaper articles or anything else that might give us another witness. In the case of the Squamish orb, there was multiple witnesses, so it was great. High-tech equipment that you yourself, Rob, I know that the equipment is credible, and I know it's not something that you could have produced as a hoax. So together, I think I did about 32 hours of investigation. There's a gentleman who's saying that it was the ISS. Well, a couple things I checked out through Google Maps and triangulation is the ISS was beyond the horizon at the point that you were standing. It was impossible to be ISS. It was too far away, too low, and the chief, the big mountain that was in your background, totally obliterated it. So the first thing I knew, it was not the ISS, and I believe somebody is saying it was the ISS. So I've already ruled that out. So in all, the 32 hours, the report I sent down to the U.S. To close the case proved it was an orb. And it's that simple. So yes, there's a lot of work involved in investigating, but I don't know a single field investigator I've trained who doesn't enjoy it. So we put the effort in, and we get good results. I'm going to tell you quickly about the stats, okay? I'm going to use the latest stats. So 90% of all reports are man-made natural phenomena. So it's very simple. They are known. 5% of those, well, 3 to 5%, I'll be very honest, are hoaxes. So the hoaxes are low. I know a lot of people say the hoaxes are very high. No. In MUFON, the hoaxes are only about 3 to 5%. So that still leaves that good old 5%. What is it? The unknowns. Well, if you take 90,000 cases over the last 50 years, that's a lot of cases. That's a lot of proof. So that's the other reason I'm in it. I love reading all this stuff, and I love investigating it. Yours was an orb, and I've seen probably 20 or 30 orbs of similar nature in Canada in the last 5 years. If I want to talk about what I've seen that I really got excited about, I actually have to talk about the non-unknowns. I get a lot of people who really think that they've seen something that is a UFO, and after investigation and talking to them, I show them what it is. And I get a lot of people who are very thankful and say, "Oh, I was really worried. Thank you. You just took a lot of pressure off of me." So actually I find that more exciting to put closure on something than to prove it is an unknown or UFO. Personally, I haven't seen any UFOs in the last 5 or 6 years. Isn't that funny? As a child, I saw lots. I've already kind of talked about that a lot, and I didn't know what they were. So the latest cases are ones that I have not been directly involved in. I've just helped investigate them. There's some pretty exciting ones out there.